Protect our rights.
Sure, tribal IDs. Sure, tribal IDs, guys. Officers should respond to victims.
Are you going to stop me more from opening?
Here's what tribal IDs.
Security, lock the door.
Judy's opening the door for us.
We just would like just the tribal members in here. Well, during what was it, the Thursday's meeting, one of the comments, and I'd like to, I do respect Councilman Phelan's position on the on not releasing it until after the election. But we did visit with Councilman Brew and Councilman Hall, and it isn't our feeling that we have nothing that we're hiding. It is nothing that the council is hiding, and it's nothing that any of the the staff are hiding. And Mark.
President, a lot of people are confused about, and we are a piece of assembled here, and nobody's here coming here out of anger to threaten any violence whatsoever that I can see. But they're really just frustrated because we have an election tomorrow. And the reality is that maybe some do know or some don't know, but this report was substantially completed many months ago. You know that. The opportunities to respond should have happened at that time, not just before election day. Can we not release it? Yes, people do have rights. When people are accused of things, they do have rights. But that whole process should have taken place before. And now the appearance is for those who are frustrated and angered that we're not going to be able to see that report when we should because we paid for it. We're not going to be able to see that report and let that be a part of our decision making tomorrow. And people have the right to be informed. They have the right to know. And that's really the key here is why can't we see the report? They don't understand. I don't understand. There was many months. It appears now that either one, A, they were waiting to hold it to drop the bomb just before the election, or B, was staving it off so that the election would occur without people being able to see the report. We're all adults in there except for two. All adults except for two. Meaning that we can make our own judgments about the validity of that report. We can read English, and we can say, do I believe this? Maybe I don't believe this. But we are all adults. We deserve that respect to be able to read it ourselves, just as you have. And so, we be able to read it and make up our own minds about how it impacts our judgments about who we think should lead, or anything else about how the tribe does business. So that's what the frustration is why not release? And why not just give us a copy today? Because when you don't, and I work for you, you know that. I just leave off today, so hopefully you don't fire me. But I work for you, but bottom line is, you know, just, why not just release it? Why not just release it? It is something that we paid for, and you're a government official, you have that authority to say, yes, I work for you, you demand to see it, and you let it go. And they can make up their own minds from there, and everybody try to do this with utmost respect.
Council members and enrolled members of the 3 affiliated tribes, my position has never changed the start of this investigation. We have an obligation and a responsibility to do what's right. And when the constituents of mine approached me on this, I released it to them. I didn't leak it out, like some people would say. I released it. It wasn't the full report as you talked about. And that's why we met today. But it was the timeline. And it was damning. It was. But out of a responsibility and respect to the chairman and his family, we gave due process. We did that. We gave due process. He's allowed that. He has rights as well. And so I have an obligation and a responsibility. And so I did. Yes,
You promised us campaigning.
I did. And I'll let the vice chairman speak on what we're going to do. That's why we met. That's why we're here today.
Well, I'm willing to sit here till tomorrow morning. They'll have to drag me on here, but I'm gonna wait until I get that report.
Me too. Same here. It's gotta be released. We all wanna know.
You know, you guys are jumping the gun. It's right here. I'll give it to you guys. Somebody's going to have to make the copies because I'm not going to stand here and make 100 copies for a bunch of people. So
Will you try?
Honestly, I get so frustrated when I hear all these things that are happening and going on.
I know. And you know, you guys, when this all started, this was something that nobody really knew it was going to get this big. And at the time, Councilman Fox and I were the only 2 council representatives who wanted to do something about it. And we had to wait for this report to come in, and the person who brought it in here just finally got a chance to do it last month. And so we asked him what his recommendation was, and he said, you have to give the chairman his due process. So we had to wait until just this past council meeting until we heard his response. And once we heard his response, then his due process was done. So now you have the report. The names have been omitted from there because some of them are BIA people, and we don't want to be sitting in court here ourselves, you know that. So, and what Joletta said is true, because you know, ever since we read this, we've had to carry it around on our shoulders because we knew what we had to do with it. We knew that if we turned it over to the FBI, and part of it has already been turned over, the rest of it hasn't yet, but it has to be. Otherwise, we're part of it too. We're just as guilty then as the person who probably, I'm not saying that I can't say 100% that he done this. It's up to the jury and the judge to make that determination. I'm not going to sit here and judge anybody. It's going to be up to them to make their decision.
They're saying that there's 1,700 pages.
No, that's not right.
What is that then?
What basically the whole thing was probably about 3 binders, but most of it was exhibits.
Is that what Ken Hall had then?
I don't know what Kenny had.
Those were affidavits, exhibits,
Affidavits and
testimonies,
exhibits,
whatever.
Timeline, it was just a timeline.
Yeah, and timelines. And so it was kind of, so we asked him for a condensed version of it so that people could read it in a more uniform, yeah. Yeah. So then now you can read that, and you have an attorney here in the room. You got a couple of them, so they should make some good decisions there.
So this is the entire report and without the exhibit.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Part of this investigation and part of it as a tribal member, Vance, I was working with him and he got a petition of recall. And I was telling the people out there, I said, we're here to find out what's corrupt and get that report. But in here, through Article 5, Section 4, we got rights to recall. And so could we exercise those rights? Because you're the secretary.
Okay, this is one of the things that Councilman Fox and I done. We brought up a resolution, and I'm telling you this because this was done in closed session. Brought up a resolution to have him removed, and we were cautioned that we couldn't at that time because he had to be proven guilty. So that's kind of what stopped it.
What's that group of people?
Can you put on probation of some sort?
We the people want
I think I'm going to ask our legal advisor back there, Caleb, if he could be. This is something that I've kind of tossed around in my mind too, is if he could be basically stripped of any type of his rights.
Yes. Is that the same reason why you're getting rid of Barry Benson?
Judy, because the attorney said that he has due process, responsibility before you can take action, can you not take action on an interim basis and suspend him and suspend his authority?
We tried that. That was our whole intent, was Councilman Fox and I tried to do it, but we couldn't get the votes. To be honest with you, we could not get the votes, so we both, yeah.
People become more aware of the significance of what's happening here on Puerto Rico. People are going to put pressure on the council to do that. And if they don't, it's their own political suicide because they're the enemy's right.
And if you go back to your constitution, the communities have every right for a petition for recall. You guys got every single right to do whatever you want to do.
Be the leader, please.
And all you have to do is get a certain percentage of it and bring it back.
Building business dealings, all involvement with people of questionable character and anything, an array of things on transactions. That's one issue. But maybe you guys can address the other issue, which is the ethics ordinance, the ethics commission, ethics responsibility. And we know these issues have been raised for 4 years, and yet we don't have a workable ethics ordinance and movement forward to let them do the job. That's what we're frustrated by. Even whether you believe this or not, those things are still have to be carried out. There should be an ethics commission saying you can't have a business and you can't be on council.
Well, that's a resolution now. That you're not supposed to have any pecuniary interest in that, Mark. But another thing is that us as voters are really negligent when it comes time for platforms. Do we sit there and ask every one of those guys running, do you have any pecuniary interest? Do you own a business where it's going to conflict with your duties?
And one of the things, Judy, I think would help address that, mention that outside there, is make it a requirement to both be a candidate and to stay on council, that you submit your IRS returns.
That's what I said. You need financial disclosure. I've always said that. Everybody running for council should do a financial disclosure.
I have seen a lot of stuff happen, and I come to my own conclusions about things. But to see the report, and I'm glad that you stood up, and I'm glad that you came forward. That shows that you guys are turning around, and I think they are stepping over the line. And we need that because we cannot have what's going on anymore. No more. Because we are losing. And our whole tribe is under a microscope right now. and it's all over. And it doesn't matter, we're not dumb. That's what I'm thinking. He thinks we're dumb. We are not dumb. We are very intelligent people.
Got the most intelligent people right here at Fort
We know
Berthold.
what we're doing. So this is why we're here. I was told by my own brother not to come here because he was afraid he was going to lose his job. And I said, no, I'm coming. I have nothing to do with your job, you know? So, it's just wrong. And it just needs to stop and stop now. And he needs to be off. However we need to do going about it, it needs to be done. Because they're looking at us. We are the leader tribe right now. So we need to take that into consideration. All over the paper, all over. It is very embarrassing.
I don't regret anyone, going out there with not doing themselves.
It's going to be oil man, or it's going to be our chairman.
Because everyone's always looked up to us, regardless of what field it was. Tribe has always expected our tribe to do something. And we always have. But this is not the way to do it.
What, you know, it says here.
No, you didn't make it to your own making.
Pardon?
You didn't make that to your own making.
I'm going to read the Constitution.
Yeah, I know. I said you didn't reword it.
The Constitution here. I'm going to read. You can read it if you'd like.
They follow the Constitution.
No, I have the Constitution.
What about the censure or stripping of the official over authority?
All right. I'm going to read right now from Article 5 of our Constitution, Vacancies and Removal from Office, Section 2. The Tribal Business Council may remove a member for cause by 5 or more members voting for such removal. But before any vote is taken on the matter, such member shall be given an opportunity to answer any and all charges at the designated meeting of the council, and the decision of the Tribal Business Council shall be final as to the removal or retention of such member. Section 3, the Tribal Business Council shall, within 1 year of the date of approval of this section, enact an ordinance setting forth what constitutes cause for removal of a council member pursuant to Section 2, which I just read, of this article. Now, there hasn't been any removal proceedings as far as I know, but the council has been following that, and I think that may answer some of your questions on why there has been a delay in time and giving the chairman an opportunity to respond to the report that was out.
Can I ask a question of the council that's sitting here today? What are your next steps in addressing the investigation report that you have initiated in January? What are your actions and what is your timetable?
I think, with those questions, we have to, be here as a full council to make that decision, and,
You don't have a full council.
Where they at?
You're addressing us.
yeah, I know, we need a full council probably to make that decision.
You carry your own thoughts about this investigation. What are they? What is it that you're going to add to this process to address what's happened here?
Well, from what we met on Thursday was we waited for his response. And from here on then, the response, we were going to release everything and then meet on the situation again. So, we have not discussed on any move that we're going to make right now.
Are you going to turn this over to the federal authorities, the full report? Yes or no?
Remember, everyone is looking at us.
Yes or no? Let me answer that. I don't know that, they can give a copy of this to authorities. It's up to the authorities to decide what they want to do with it.
The authorities had, because when our investigator received this report, and we met in Bismarck, and we told him to do what he had to do. So when we met with him again, he said that he did turn over a portion of it, whatever it was, but he never turned over his, that one yet. So they've had it for a few months, so it's exactly what you say. What, it's in their ballpark. What are they gonna do with it?
I'd like to just thank you guys for giving us this opportunity, and I'm really humbled that it got this far. I really didn't think you guys would be here, and I appreciate you listening to us. But at the same time, I talked to several of you individually, and our system is broke, guys. Our government needs to be changed. And we all talk about the feds. Man, be honest, guys. The feds ain't gonna do shit crap for us, people in language, but they will eventually if you guys push it. So we ask that. We ask you guys to push that, so we have some transparency in our government. Right now there isn't any, and there isn't. We have to change the system. That's why I came, and my father's Clyde Baker. He would always say that to me when I was young. He said, Jared, that's really good what you're trying to do, but until that system changes, you're going to have a lot of problems with what we do for our future. And you know it. I was thinking of the oil, how many of them oil leases was bidded out? I could say a million things, I'm sorry, I don't want to jump into that, but it's horrible. We need to change it, and I ask you guys, please, for my kids, for our future generations, let's change it. Let's make it right. Let's have some transparency. Let's have some ethics, codes that are enforceable, and let's go on. And I appreciate everyone that was here, but we have to live together. We start hollering at each other, we say names. We don't need to do that. Let's do it as a people. And we showed it today, guys. Unorganized. People were making fun of us. We got in here and we heard 3 leaders, and the other ones are going to come around too. But this is what we need to do. But we got to keep it positive, I think. We can't do this name calling and stuff. And like I said, I appreciate it. I'm going to leave. I am, because I got a family. And thank you guys. Get us.